Hi, my name is Arte. I'm from Buildit Accelerator / Venture Capital Fund. I'm happy to see many familiar faces, but even more non-familiar. And thus, I'm even more excited that you are into hardware, at least in terms of interest. I'll try to navigate with the clicker and my notes. A brief introduction about both Buildit and me myself. Buildit has been around for 10 years. It started off in Estonia with 2 funds, and now 2 funds are being operated in Latvia, the first one being already closed. Its investment period has been closed, and the second seed fund will be concluded by the end of June. Thus, our final deals are in the signing process. We have 54 portfolio companies. Some 10-ish of them are fairly considered written off. And I would say that roughly 70% of them are hardware companies. Some of them are software just because of diversification purposes and as well, sourcing the deals. It's not that easy to find 50 hardware companies that would be investable. Quickly about myself. I started off as a management consultant, investment banking, and during COVID time, which happened to be 2021, there was no more exciting industry than VC. Thus, I decided to transfer to this sphere. Maybe some of the logos ring a bell, but these are the companies I am most excited about, most proud of. One of our recent co-investments with Ladman Syndicate Angels in Cellbox Labs. I would assume you read the headlines, almost a 1 million deal. It was a clap, right? Nice. RoboEats building their remotely autonomous kitchen in the US. Naco is doing quite well. The nano coatings, something super complex that I'll dive into it. We as investors not always understand what the teams are doing. And one of the most the youngest teams, Submerge Baltic, those submarine drones, heading into the dual use direction. But then I was asked to talk a bit about hardware investments. I'm happy to be the first one saying the phrase out loud that hardware is hard. Everyone knows this by heart, but why so? And two main reasons: slightly lower survival rates, but surprisingly not that. It's not that most of them die, just slightly lower than software, and higher equity funding needs. On average, it's US data more or less, it's twice the money a hardware company needs versus a software company. But on the good side, and why I think also Buildit operates in this sphere, there's less competition in terms of investors fighting for those deals and those companies. There has been calculation and assessment done by Third Sphere in the US, I think, based on Crunchbase data, which again, is not complete. Not everyone shares the deal data, but compared to fintech, I think in fintech there are 5 times more investors than companies being funded, versus hardware, it's 0.3. So you can do the math. The competition to get access to a good hardware deal is slightly lower. And this is something that we are then betting on and encourage you to do as well. Key considerations. Okay, I don't need this one. Capital intensity, already mentioned. It takes roughly 2 times more funding to get to a reasonably similar software company's success. And this then links directly to the last point, that hardware companies are way more keener to look for non-VC funding and non-equity funding. It means grants, loans, all other types of grants wherever they can get funding. This is, then again, a dual thing, if it's risky or not, given that they are so dependent on external funding other than investor funding. Development costs, I guess, goes without saying in terms of for hardware startups, huge upfront costs, a lot of investment, and I see teams nodding before you're making the first profit. And similarly, a lot of money going into the product or service before you can actually sell it. Another consideration, of course, intellectual property. Me, myself, I'm undecided if it's a must or not really. But if that is the key advantage or the competitive aspect, we're definitely recommending and asking our teams to protect it and be owners and to be the owners of the IP. Best practices. How we're on time, we're good. Of course, due diligence, that is applicable to every investment. And as I said, we as investors do not always understand what the company is building, what are the risks, what should be considered. So we rely on external expertise. We hire people who do that. And I guess to make it applicable to you as business angels, I would highly encourage you to seek, joining a round or another fund who is doing this for you, given the high costs of that. Best practices, of course, is never-ending prototyping and testing, which again is another trap because you can, prototype and test forever and never get to the market. But it's super crucial that the product the team is about to put to mass production, it is actually working and demanded in the market. Strategic partnerships. I believe this is also slightly different than in case of software startups. Manufacturing and distribution channels. This is something that will be super crucial when the team is about to scale. So it's super important that they have those links and network built already from the get-go. The outsourcing balancing act, again, as it suggests, the balancing act between what the team is doing inside and what the team is about to outsource. Core competencies or the core, mechanics, technology, preferably is done and provided by the internal competence and expertise, but something mundane and simple stuff, probably it is cheaper to outsource it and just to free up the time. And the last one, software development. Nowadays, it's rarely that hardware companies go without a software component. And initially, it's quite common that teams would be, focused on this hardware competence and software would be outsourced. But then it's quite an important decision moment when you bring the software development team in-house, which is, for a software company, not even a decision. Quickly about the common pitfalls. I'm not sure if this is something new to you, but underestimating costs, quite a trap. Many fall into that. The right choices during R&D cycle, this comes to the right components, the right sourcing partners, the right manufacturing partners. Iteration and testing is key, and these mistakes can cost dearly down the road. Supply chain issues. COVID was a great example. It's an extreme scenario, but it sent many of our teams to the trophy wall just because they were dependent on certain components or certain providers. One should have alternatives or make adjustments to how the product is designed so that you're not directly dependent on one or two providers. And the domino effect, if the product consists of 2,000 ingredients, or components. One, for a reason, doesn't come or is being stopped produced. Here you are, the product is not working. So again, down the trophy wall. Customer feedback, the same as software. And regulatory hurdles, again, not much to dive into, but something to consider, which would be additional, is delivery aspects. Sometimes those hardware products are huge or heavy or just too fragile, and a team would not take into account how costly or challenging it is to get it across the sea or even to another country. And the very last notes, which might inspire our discussion later, pitching is something that is not that common to engineers and technical people. So hardware founders might on pitching stages or competitions, they might not look that convincing. They might not know the right, triggers to be pulled. So it takes a bit of time to get to know them, to get them share what they're about and what they're building. A business partner, not every engineer can build a company. So it's super crucial that there is someone with the business building competence or excitement for it, as simple as sales or managing those clients. You cannot just sit in the lab. Yeah, the never-ending need for funding, which then demands hardware startups seeking not only VC money, but also being able to get bank loans, grants, apply for projects as long as it does not disturb their focus. Takes a lot of their effort. And yeah, to wrap up, a note on go-to-market. Sometimes when those products are super complex, we see that founders seek to fill it in with a lot of features, a lot of functionalities, and then it's so complex that, again, something is not working just because it's overcomplicated. We always try to push them to get out in the market with that one core functionality, and that is your proof. Do not get overexcited about all the other features. Last but not least, working capital, a never-ending issue just because there's and it's an ongoing basis to get the prototype, to produce something that you're about to deliver. Managing the cash flow is a challenge, especially for engineering teams, if there is no financial person in the team. That is even a term that for many hardware startup founders does not ring a bell, what that is. And a common trap, and I'm not sure if we will see it today as well during the pitch sessions, but financial projections when it comes to the cost segment, quite soon, let's say after year 1 or year 2, there are already assumed costs at the volume, meaning the production costs when a product would be produced, with a huge discount, or somehow the production costs will go low exponentially. We see that it does not happen that easily. So for the first few years, better safe than sorry, it's wise to assume costs as of today rather than, already the first batch of 100 units will cost me 80% less. Having said that, probably there is truth to hardware being hard. Probably it is harder, but from the investor's perspective, we are quite certain, and some data supports us that it's easier to invest in the good hardware teams, and probably also it comes back to our personal excitement of something tangible, and that's why we're in the space, and happy to see you considering.
Thank you very much. Round of applause.